welcome to the Mizell Show.
We're back.
Today
is a hard
conversation. We are digging in to my struggle with anxiety and depression and what it looks like for me, what it looks like for Steven. But most importantly, we do want to just mention that we are not doctors. We are not therapists. This is just
us discussing our livelihood and how we have tried and are learning and coping and all the adjectives that we're trying to accomplish.
Yes. Well, we're grateful for you guys, so tune in.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Mizell Show.
An inspiration for a new generation.
Hi, I'm Alanna Mizell, a loving mother of two, a devoted wife to Steven, and an entrepreneur helping women realize their dreams and potential.
And I'm Steven Mizell, caring father of two, a devoted husband to Alanna, and a driving force to help young men prepare for life after college football.
And if that wasn't enough, we're a biracial couple.
She was raised in the North, but I was raised in the South.
The only thing normal about our lives, who am I kidding? It's never normal around here. Join us for the Mizell Show.
Right now. All right, we are back on the Mizell Show. Yeah.
We're here.
It's a day. I'll tell you what day we record. So you don't need to know all those details. But we are back on the Mizell Show, and Alanna has a beverage, and
I just have water today. No tea that I'm spilling.
No tea.
Last time.
No tea. Just water today for Alanna. But yeah, we're back. Eventful past week. As we've kind of hit on these past few episodes, if you're listening and tuning in every week, it's been a lot. It's been a very busy couple of weeks in terms of...
I feel like we came out of COVID and...
Never stopped.
Well, like, people hit summer and are, like, making up for last year.
Yeah.
And it feels like a fire hydrant is going off and spewing at your face.
Yeah, it is. It's very... there was no easing back into it. You're grateful for the vaccination and, however you feel about it, you feel about it. But at the same time, there's no, hey, this time last year we weren't doing any of this. Let's reevaluate a few things. It's full go, and it's a lot. Adele and Briggs are out of school, so mommy is home with them.
Yeah.
Every day.
So what that looks like is me running my business from 12 to 2.
Ish.
And then when they go to bed, 12 to 2 is when they nap. When they go to bed at night or in the morning.
Yeah, and we are grateful for one day a week we're able to get a sitter or nanny for whatever you want to call it. But it's not a lot of time to run a business, especially at the age our little ones are at. Because, at some age, you could sneak off and do a little bit of work here and there. But no, Adele, you could, but Briggs, you cannot.
Adele really loves to be. So Adele is 5.5 and Briggs is 2.5. For those that haven't listened to our other ones, and Adele, she does, but she
gets bored.
She wants to be played with.
She wants attention.
She does. She's a lot.
But could you have more of an opportunity to sneak something with Adele. With Briggs, it's like you can't step away at all.
There would be more creative opportunities to get work done with Adele.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
And them together. So, we're trying to map that out. Also, first time listening, I work in collegiate football, and June is a very crazy month for us because it's the first time in a year and a half that you're able to have recruits on campus. So you're hosting camps, you're having official visits, and it's just like...
So, in camps are current high school students that are essentially doing a workout for
college
college
coaches.
coaches.
Yes.
They're trying to get recruited.
Trying to get recruited. They're mostly juniors in high school. And those run, during the week, sometimes weekend, and then official visits are when you are a elite recruit, I guess you want to call it, and you come for an entire weekend.
Yeah.
And so you're hosting, numerous groups of people for the entire weekend. So the whole facet of, mommy's here with the kids during the week, and then, weekend, but right now it's every single day of
All day long.
All day long.
Except Tuesdays. I do get a little break. I get a
Yeah.
4-hour break on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
To
It's
work.
to work, yeah, a 4-hour break to do more work, which is exhausting in itself. But this past week, Alanna does a lot on social media, as in she's able to create her brand, articulate her brand, motivate. Like, if you haven't checked her out, go to her Instagram. It's very
Thanks for the shameless plug, babe.
It's very good. And so she knows what she's doing. But long story short, she has people that reach out to her, and they're people that sometimes, I might say 50% of them are not real. They're like, hey, DM me and I'll grow your profile up to 1,000%.
They're awful.
And you're like, I'm tired of this. But then you have authentic people who
Yeah.
follow her and they listen to her story. And we could talk days about this, but there are 2 stories that recently happened. One, actually, she booked like a long time ago, and then we ended up having to go and do it while we were on vacation with our kids. But how did that girl find you? And how did that happen?
People will reach out to me for a number of different things, mainly focusing on mental health, because I am such an open book with the severity of my mental health. And this young lady reached out to me. She's actually Cell Saint as well. Mm-hmm. And she's a teacher full-time and has just kind of seen mental health deteriorating in her classroom with parents. She's really seen it firsthand, and then also struggles with anxiety herself, and really wanted to get to where she could communicate about mental health, anxiety, and depression, and kind of her story, but didn't know where to start. Mm-hmm. And so that was really the narrative of the conversation. They wanted kind of me to start their conversation, to kind of just like slow boil for them.
And to say and to hear it's okay to talk about it and have someone like yourself who's open, so then hopefully the people watching the live, they will then spew that into, hey, Alanna spoke about this, and I'm actually feeling these feelings, and this was going on. So that really made an impact. And that girl, I mean, like, you knew her, but she's not on your team, and she's yeah.
So I think one of the biggest things when we're talking about anxiety and depression and mental health openly, there are some things that people that don't have anxiety and depression just do not understand.
And will not probably ever understand.
Right. And there's only so many words that you can use to articulate what is physically going on in your head. And I was reading a Time magazine article last summer that came out, and specifically talking about how we need to change the narrative of the words that we use in relation to mental health.
Yeah.
And one of which, like, don't call people crazy.
No. Yeah.
Because that's what somebody who has severe depression or anxiety and panic attacks that are coming from places that they can't understand, that's what they feel like. They feel like they're crazy, and that people are going to call them crazy, or they're going to think that their kids need to be taken away from them. That is women's biggest fear. I'll tell you, if they have children and they suffer with depression, if they were to actually voice what's going on in their head, their kids would be taken away.
Really?
That's my biggest fear. And fear is just anxiety. Fear is planning out what could happen without it potentially happening.
Yeah.
But if I were to truly say every single thought that goes through my head from a depressive standpoint, and quite raw and honest, in the last 3 weeks, my depression has kicked up. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just real.
Yeah.
And as their school year ended and I had them full time, my depression and the level of performance that I expect myself to have is much higher. So therefore my depression increases. and Steven not being at home as much when I'm home with them as much is detrimental to me because I take so much of my mental health, my anxiety and my depression, and I lay it on Steven's shoulders. So what I'm working through and trying to heal through is not laying it on Steven's shoulders, but realizing that I can lay it on Christ's shoulders.
Yes.
And so that's vastly different. But if I were to actually articulate to the world, to Instagram, to whomever listens to our podcast, here's our speaking engagements, actually articulate the words that enter into my head, that limiting belief, the self-doubt, the depressive thoughts, I would be terrified that DCS would take my kids away. Because I would be considered an unfit mother.
All right. So many questions, but I think the biggest thing that I want.
You guys, I wish you could see Steven's face right now.
Yeah, it's just it's
not funny,
it's
but
not
you
funny,
can just
but
see that his brain is marinating.
My brain is marinating, and that's why I brought the whole social media piece up, because during this week we're dealing with right now, somebody also reached out to you about your openness and mental health, and they challenged you to potentially write it all down.
Yeah, they asked me to write an article.
Write an article about it, and they want you to dive in from as much as you could. So
yeah, but with a 3-page limit.
3-page limit. So how did you start, and how'd you put it on paper?
In the middle of depression.
In the middle of the season that you're in. Exactly.
Great question. Honestly, it took me 2 days to write 3.5 pages, which after you finish an online master's program, you can write a lot and fast because you have to. For me to only be able to write 2.5, 3 pages, and it took me 2 days, just really showed me where I was at. And writing my story, even the portion that I gave, there was one big thing that I wanted people to get. 2. Let me say that again. There's 2 big things. 1, that there is hope and it gets better. But 2, that it's never going away. So you have to daily fight. You have to choose to feel every day. Like, for somebody that struggles specifically with depression, feeling sucks.
Yeah.
That's the last thing we want to do. Because the feelings that we feel right now in the pit of depression or when we are manically depressed are ugly. So then trying to unpack where those come from and what the actual real emotion is, and then the shame that you've got to call out in correlation to those feelings, it just sucks.
Yeah.
But I will also say the hope piece that it gets better is that a year ago, I couldn't have written the words down because I didn't know them. I didn't fundamentally understand that anxiety is fear. And that shame not being called out just begets more and more and more shame. And that gladness, although being glad is one of the most beautiful emotions ever, when the gladness ends, sorrow will come. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I literally this last week with my therapist, I was like, that's awful. I don't like that. She's like, okay, but imagine, she gave me a different scenario, but I'm going to tell you one that I love.
Okay.
Imagine you've got this bomb piece of Ben & Jerry's ice cream cake.
It's going to, yeah.
You got one. That's all you got.
Yeah.
You are glad you are eating it.
Yeah.
This is fueling my body. Steve and I literally were leaving the other day. We're like, this would totally fuel my body. Amen. God loves this.
Yes.
Loves this. This is glorifying him right now.
Yeah.
That's what you think. That is pure glad joy. I am happy I'm doing this.
Yeah.
The last bite comes.
Then you're sad. It's all gone.
There's sadness.
There's sadness.
Right?
There's sadness.
There's
yeah.
like, I could totally have another piece.
Yeah.
This is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so think of that on like a higher scale.
Yeah.
You're so glad to be in the presence of some people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that God let us borrow those people for a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Does that remove the memory of them being present on earth? No.
Yeah.
That also doesn't remove the reality that because you are still on earth and not in heaven, that there is sadness there.
Mm-hmm.
So glad and joy cannot come without at least some bit of sadness. But the challenge is to hold on to the joy as long as you can.
Yeah.
And stay in joy and gladness as long as you can. But being able to articulate when you are actually in joy and you're not just shoving down other emotions like fear, failure, shame, those type things, anger. That is an art form that people that are depressed struggle to get to because there aren't these other emotions. Glad is not an emotion for a actually depressed person.
Yeah.
Did you know that I sell makeup? Not only do I sell makeup, but the makeup that I sell is 3D makeup, which allows you to highlight and contour your face in a super simple compact. As a mom, I could not survive without my simplified routine. Not only that, but it's exactly what you need. Exactly when you need it, all in one spot. Go ahead and check out Alanna Mizell on Instagram or alannamizell.com to learn more.
So how have you been able to hold on to gladness? Or are you able to hold on to gladness? I mean, let's be honest with you. Are you able to hold on to gladness?
Depends on the day, depends on the minute. No. So, yes, because a couple things I've done. I have videos on my phone telling myself why I do everything. Why I eat the way I eat. I have a video for it. Why I am a saint artist. I've got a video for it. Why I share my mental health journey. I've got a video for it. So when I am at the peak of joy, that's when I video it. When it is the most raw emotion that I can re-articulate to anybody why I started what I started, that's when I video it. And then when it really stinks and I don't want to do it anymore, I go watch my why video. Because it's me talking to me.
Yeah.
And I would say if you are going to embark on any new journey, when you've made the decision and you feel no reservation about it, make a video telling yourself why you did it. Not just a recording, a video. Because there's emotion that you see in your eyes that you cannot articulate with words.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only way that I know how to hold on to it. Also, there are, I wish I could remember that, Voices of the Heart, I think is the name of the book, by Chip Dodd. And he goes over the 8 main emotions. Like, you've got 8 emotions. Yeah, there are some other words sprinkled in there that kind of give it a little bit more of meat and potatoes kind of thing. But ultimately, you've got 8 emotions. And so I now have those 8 emotions in the front of my journal that I use in the morning. And you guys, sometimes it's 3 sentences and I'm like, I got nothing left. That's all I got. Yeah. And then sometimes it's pages. Because usually when I feel a very strong emotion like anger, like sadness, hurt, those things, those just spew all over the page. When I'm trying to figure out, am I glad or am I something else? That's when I have a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that hearing this and hearing you go through this and knowing that you are wanting to hold on to the gladness, but you also know that it's an everyday fight and an everyday struggle. And I think something that I continue to grow with and work through is that I can't carry this for you in turn and carrying it, crippling you even more. Because when you turn around and you express how you're feeling or you express what's going on, I can't wear it because then you feel that I've just put this on him and now he's wearing it. Now it adds even more feeling to you.
Right.
As in feeling bad because
it's pretty much the hamster wheel.
It's a hamster wheel.
So, a couple things that I would say about that. One, when people get to the point where they can articulate their anxiety and their depression, it's also really hard to be vulnerable with people and not feel like you're impacting their lives. So, nobody can heal your anxiety and your depression or even work on it except for the person who has it. It has to be up to them every minute. It has to be up to them if they want to get medicated or not. It is not their therapist. It is not their psychologist. It is nobody's decision but the person. There's actually a book, Miracle Mornings. He says that you are 100% responsible for the actions you take. So you have to own them. And that's every action you take. And even your thoughts, although can be chemically imbalanced, they are your actions that you have to own and find out where they came from. Yes, you can get help from the people that you are vulnerable with, but that is also the biggest thing with a spouse or a best friend, that maybe you have somebody who struggles with depression and anxiety, specifically depression, is that it's not on you to fix them. There's not an action that Steven can take that will dictate how my reaction will be to him. He tries to plan out and position things certain ways. You cannot prevent an anxiety attack from coming.
No.
There are boundaries you can put in place to try to help you. But if you are not actively feeling your feelings, recognizing that you are human and not trying to put all of your baggage on somebody else, nobody can solve that for you.
And I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I think a lot of guys or husbands or spouses or whatever you want to call us try to do is try to overly plan or overly do something in which if you're doing those things and you're basically telling your spouse or that person, I know you're broken, so I'm going to try to do things to help your brokenness, and you're bringing even more light to a situation that you could basically just have the conversation with them and just let them know that they are being seen. Let them know that they are being...
But what you just said is a verbiage that needs to get fixed. I know you're broken. I'm not broken.
No, I'm saying, but you're... Yeah.
But like even that phrase, I'm not broken. And that's what people think who are depressed. They think that they are shattered pottery, never were china. They are... Project 62 from Target that just shattered on the floor in a million pieces. They could never be China. They could never be valued at that. But that's not real. You are not broken. Your story doesn't make you broken. Your chemical imbalance in your brain doesn't make you broken. It makes you see the world in a different reality. And how do you not say that somebody who doesn't have depression isn't broken? Well, at least I see the other side, right? I'm not living a high life. Optimistic about things that could never happen. So it's just, and not that you were necessarily saying that to me, but I think that people say, well, oh gosh, you have to be so broken because you had 2 miscarriages. That's probably why you have depression. You have to be so broken because you were sexually assaulted twice. That's probably why the depression happened. When actually, when you get down to the bare bones, my depression really doesn't have much to do with either sexual assault or my miscarriages. It doesn't. But people verbalizing, you're so broken, let me fix you. People are not a project to be fixed. And sorry y'all, the only one that can fix that project was Christ. And he already came. So everybody's got to stop acting like you can be somebody else's Jesus and start acting like you're your own savior.
And again, and that's kind of what I was, I definitely, I guess, it's changing the verbiage, changing the mindset. And in my example, what I was kind of going through was you're bringing, if that person is trying to communicate to you, and then you as the other person are trying to dance around and do things and try to avoid something that you don't know what's going to even happen, you're putting that person even more into a stigmatism, into you're only doing this because because you think this way about me, instead of having that heartfelt conversation with them, or just letting them know that they are loved and that you are here for them, and not trying to fix them, not trying to do these things to help them, and just the biggest thing you can do is
the more you try to fix, the more you're saying to them, you are broken.
Yes.
I don't see you as a whole human. I see you as broken bits.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to be super glue and put it back together for you.
Yes. And that's, and again, if you don't take the time to listen, to learn, that's the false lie that a lot of people live. You're just like, oh, I'm just trying to help. No, you're not helping by doing those things. And
I think, for somebody who Steven has a love language of service. That's his love language. So for him, serving and cleaning up things to try to help prevent an anxiety attack is loving me. But what that means to me is that you would rather clean up so I don't have an anxiety attack versus spend quality time with me, which quality time is my love language. Mm-hmm. So it's this thing between. Mm-hmm. And I would also say that I find it very important for a spouse or best friend of people that suffer from depression. I would definitely say consider getting at least monthly therapy.
Yeah.
Of sorts. Mm-hmm. Because you almost need the check and balance of it's not about you. It's not about you.
Yeah.
And to think that somebody's depression or anxiety is about you mm-hmm. is so selfish.
Yeah.
It's essentially saying, this isn't Steven and I, but it's essentially saying that me, Alanna, I have to, I might as well idolize Steven because my depression would be so bad that it would be his fault. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Yeah.
Do I believe that there are parts of my depression that were preventable? Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would be near as bad as it is right now if I wasn't conditioned to be works-based and push down feelings and, and.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there's a large portion of it that is a chemical imbalance that I have, mm-hmm. that I was gifted. Mm-hmm. There's also so much beauty in the ability to communicate by mental health to other people.
Yes.
Because I get messages daily of women specifically, a couple of men every once in a while, asking me questions about my mental health. Mm-hmm. And asking me questions about the medications I've been on. I'm on a medication that not many people have been on. I'm on Trintellix. And you have to have failed out of other ones. So the process of getting to Trintellix in and of itself makes you feel broken. It makes you feel like my depression is so freaking bad mm-hmm. that the FDA has said, have them try these other ones first, then you can have mine. Tell me how that's not jacked up.
Yeah.
Let's also talk about the fact that my Trintellix costs us $40 a month when Xanax, which is an addictive medication, costs $2.35. Klonopin, which is a handwritten script, which is very addictive to somebody who has an addictive personality mm-hmm. and has genetic alcoholism, mm-hmm. aka addiction in her family. I was prescribed these medications. And never once did the pharmacy said, let me take those old medications before I give you the new one. Mm-hmm. Let me wait to give you the new addiction. Give me the old one back so I know how many you took.
Yeah.
Nope, none of that happened. None of those were over $5. But the one mm-hmm. that you have to fail out of others mm-hmm. and be so broken and nothing else works costs $40.
$4.
The one that actually works and doesn't have a weight gain as a side effect is $40.
$4.
But you're telling people with anxiety and depression, hey, go take these meds and you may gain weight.
Yeah.
More than likely you will. But you'll be fine. Because that's not going to spiral your anxiety and your depression and just stack another thing on top of it. And you're saying this to women largely.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it just goes back to the fact that it's readily accessible. It's one of the cheapest things in the market. It's probably overly prescribed. And people are able just to go and get it with ease and not, like you said, doing the background and really diving in deep to say, hey, I'm giving you this pill to treat your depression.
Yeah.
But let me figure out is weight gain or weight loss a trigger of your depression before I give you something that's going to cause this, and before you know it, it's a person is choosing between maybe helping their chemical imbalance or dealing with weight gain.
Yeah.
And now you're forcing someone to choose.
You're forcing somebody to choose between weight gain who is already thinking about potentially killing themselves.
Yeah.
If their depression is that bad.
And the sad thing is a lot of these people that are walking around with this prescription are in a situation of I would say, would you say a majority of them, but not majority, you don't know, but would you say post-high school, college years, or where would you say a lot of this is?
I honestly have no idea. I would be probably terrified to look at the statistics of what age group certain Valium and Xanax and those type medications are being prescribed to them. I would be terrified.
Yeah,
quite
I would
honestly.
be terrified. You're right.
And then what other cocktails are being mixed with it is the next question. You're talking about taking medications that help with depression, but then most people are drinking at the same time, which is a depressant.
Yeah.
So you're mixing an upper with a downer. And depending on the severity of how many you've taken can depict your current situation. And then on top of that, you've got maybe, moms that are just trying to get their head above water because they have too much going on and a world that thinks that they need to be perfect, but they've actually are the ones that are putting perfectionism on themselves. And all they're trying to do is not think these horrible thoughts. You're giving that to them. And for me, I had a manic depressive state. I barely got my kids. I was on Xanax. I took Xanax once. And I barely got my kids in the car and Briggs to his doctor's appointment. I wrote his wrong name down on the sheet of paper at the doctor's. I wrote Briggs Malone and not Briggs Mizell. His name is Briggs Malone Mizell. And I wouldn't answer them because it wasn't his name. And they couldn't pull him up in the system because it wasn't his name.
Yeah.
And I was so confused. And somehow I got Steven on the phone. I got one of my best friends on the phone. And they were like, we're coming. Yeah. I had no idea what was happening. It was a complete out-of-body experience. Somehow all of us were safe. But you're trying to tell me, put a mom who's manically depressive with their kids in this scenario to where that could be the side effect. And say, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Just take this. And then what about if it did work really, really well? It instantly made my thoughts disappear. Made me go numb. Which is ultimately what most depressed people are wanting. Just fix this as fast as possible. Make this go away.
You're going to put yourself in position that you are addicted to something and a feeling that's not real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're talking about gladness. That's all a depressed person is trying to dig to. Is those points of pure joy that they remember, those memories that they long for. A lot of times it's when you're a kid or, you could name some of the biggest joyful moments. What's that? What's the kids' movie?
Oh, yeah.
That, you have joy, you have anger. It's such a good movie.
It's on Disney.
In and Out? No.
Yes, Inside Out.
Inside Out.
Yes.
Inside Out. It's a phenomenal movie, and it really does depict mental health.
It does.
When you actually watch it. So adults, go watch it.
Yeah.
But you're saying, I don't even know where I was going with that.
About gladness and how.
Okay, so
they're
depressive people are just striving for that.
Yeah.
So then you give them an addictive medication that can make them instantly glad.
And they're going to just go back to it every time.
Even if they don't have an addictive chemical genetic makeup.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to go back to it.
Yeah.
And it costs them under $3.
So why wouldn't you?
Starbucks costs them more than that.
No, you're right. And you're going to go back to it. And the crazy thing is there are people out there who are addicted or not addicted to it. But also the people around them have become addicted to it. And you have spouses, you have mothers, you have brothers like, hey, are you okay? Did you take your medicine today? They go pop a pill, and the person goes, no, I mean, they're a zombie. Like, oh, okay, she's good now. And it's no, you're not even scratching the surface of what's truly deeply going on.
Because then on top of that, they feel better, so then they no longer need therapy.
Yep.
But therapy also costs more money than their $3 Xanax does.
It also keeps the doctors to keep them moving in and moving out.
And you guys, this isn't every doctor.
No.
It's not every doctor. And the majority of doctors will not just prescribe you Xanax. That's not what they're going to start with. But it is a very slippery slope. It is a very challenging. And although for people that struggle with depression and anxiety, for them to finally get to the point where they say they need medication and then also need to articulate it to somebody else, I would challenge you guys to be as open and vulnerable with a companion, your mom, your sister, your brother, whomever it might be, so that they know what's happening next, what you're taking, what you're going through, so that they can be prepared for the potential side effects. Because your goal is to get to a healthy, balanced point where you also recognize you are not broken. You are not your story. Your story is just a part of what has happened. And the only way you can do that in what I believe is the best manner is through therapy and through a companion of some sorts that truly knows what's happening.
And from the other side of it, as the companion, the spouse, the friend, you have to also reach out and talk to someone about what you are feeling.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you're not trying to be that person's savior, their Christ, and trying to put them back together, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I think last but not least, you can't be selfish. You can't let them, express their feelings to you, and then you put your feelings back on them, and then put them in an even depressive state at the end of the day.
Yeah. Being the companion to somebody who has depression, who is currently in a pit of depression, is hard. It's hard. It's hurtful. It's sad. And there's a reason that you've been chosen to be their companion. That's more than likely because they trust you above everybody else in their lives. But that also means that it's going to cause you more pain.
And this is a raw and authentic conversation from the Mizell Show. And we truly appreciate you guys checking in. We truly appreciate you guys tuning into us, and just continue to check us out.
So if you guys are enjoying this, definitely leave us a review. Give us the feedback. If there's something you guys want us to talk about, reach out to us on our website at themizellshow.com. There is a contact section. You can put it in there. We would love to hear about it. Or you can always go over to Instagram at The Mizell Show. Also, as always, don't forget to screenshot this episode and just add it to your stories and tag us on Instagram, on Facebook at The Mizell Show. Thanks, guys. Are you loving The Mizell Show? Well, we love you all. And did you know that you can have me and Steven talk to your team or a group of 25 of your friends? All it takes is 25 people showing up on either a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or really anywhere. Hopefully in person sooner rather than later. But how do you get us? So all you have to do is email themizellshow@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Instagram at The Mizell Show.